There, I am Dr. Topher Fox coming at you from Superior, Colorado, and today we are talking about how to survive the holidays, and in particular, holiday temptation. So, four big reasons that holidays can be hard include things like peer pressure, include things like all the emotions that get swirled up inside us. It includes the fact that we get into these different routines for the holidays. But one of the big ones that I want to talk about is holiday temptation. Or another way to think about this is that our environment, it changes during the holiday season. And so I don't know if this happens at your house, but it certainly happens at mine. In fact, right over here, there is a counter that is bracing itself for the holiday cookie and treat invasion. So somewhere in the middle of December, we will start to see plates of cookies that show up from neighbors, holiday breads, right? The chocolate chip pumpkin bread. And all of this means that the environment that we spend time in is different through the holiday season than it is at other times of the year. Now, this is true not only in your home, but it is also true, in the workplace or at school or places that you spend a lot of time. And I like to think about, at work, the break room minefield. So it's a very similar thing. The break room might have an occasional birthday cake or someone will bring cookies, but most of the year, there's not a lot of temptation that's in there. But all of a sudden, the holidays come, and as the gifts shower in or grateful clients bring treats by, all of a sudden, it just becomes this overwhelming, really mound of tempting food. And through the holiday season, for lots of reasons, the barriers that we put up to help us choose healthy consistently, often these barriers are let down. And so we don't have the same filters. And all of this means that it's harder to be successful through the holidays. It's harder to stay on track with making healthy choices. So today I want to give you 4 tips, 4 things that you can do to help yourself survive this holiday temptation. Number 1 is just to keep your guard up, to be aware. So awareness is a real key to being successful, making healthy choices. Inside our membership program, Learn Diabetes Mastery, we talk about this thing called the formula for success, which is that number 1, you just want to notice your behavior, notice what choices you're making, and really why you're making those choices. You want to be able to explore that so that number 2, you can start to understand yourself better. And then finally, number 3, you can use that information to help yourself be more successful. So for instance, if for you, the holidays just aren't the holidays with grandma's lemon bun cake, you can start to ask yourself, what is it about that cake that is so appealing? Is it actually the food itself? And chances are that when you eat that, there is a lot of emotion or a lot of memory potentially, depending on whether grandmother is still with us or not. A lot of emotion, a lot of memory that gets tied up, and it gets reactivated or brought forward by this food. So eating that food may bring out a lot of pleasant feelings or emotions. And if we're trying to use that formula for success, for example, we can look to create those same emotions or that same connection with grandma, potentially in ways that don't involve the lemon bun cake, or at least involve only a small portion of that. So second thing that you can do to help survive holiday temptation is just take control of your environment. So we are tremendously influenced by the things that are in our environment, and in particular things that are easy. And in the home environment, really remember that you have control. You have control over that environment and what lives there and where it lives. And so, for example, again, as I pointed out in my house, we have that counter where the treats live. Having them right there, handy, in plain sight, that is not a brilliant strategy for success. And so I'm already planning this year for where the holiday treat zone will be. And so we can take those things. Number 1, we don't have to let them live in our house. We might thank our neighbors and try a small piece. And then those things just need to go, to work. Heaven forbid they could go to the trash. Don't tell your neighbor I said that. But they don't have to live in your house. You don't have to eat everything that's there. And so if you make it harder, if you do want to keep them, you might just put them out of sight, in a Tupperware container, in a cupboard that's up high, so that at least you have to take a bit of effort to go get it. And perhaps as you are doing so, you might realize that, that's not really what I want. So second thing that you can do is take control of your environment. Oh, and I should mention a third thing that you can do when we're talking about controlling your environment is having healthy choices around, having them handy and in plain sight, so that maybe you at least have some options between, the cookies and maybe a clementine. Those are in season right now, and I find them a nice little sweet break that can be useful. Third thing that you can do is you can avoid the minefield. That's what I like to think of as the break room at work during the holiday season. It's a temptation minefield. And so what does that mean? I told you I would tell you a story, and there is this stuff that we get in Colorado in the holiday season that is, it's a toffee, almond toffee. And for me, it's like a kryptonite food. I cannot stop eating it once I start. And it invariably shows up in the break room. And once I take my first bite on any given day, it's all downhill and I just can't stop after that. So my best strategy for not gorging on almond toffee is just to avoid the break room. I just don't need to see that stuff, because at work, often you don't really have control of that environment like you do over at home. I think a lot of people would be upset if I just threw that toffee away, although I have been tempted. Another example of the temptation and avoiding the minefield in the home is that my wife makes these delicious cinnamon rolls, and it's very similar. Once I start eating them, I can't stop. And so we get them one time a year, Christmas Day, and I can pretty much guarantee you I'm going to feel sick at the end of the day from eating too many of these. But then 364 days of the year, these things are not in the environment. And so that brings me to number 4, which is cut yourself a little slack. So do allow yourself to enjoy the holidays and realize that you can control portions and you can control the number of servings that you have. So allow yourself those times to be able to enjoy the foods and the people that make the holidays special for you. So there you have it, 4 tips for surviving holiday temptation. I know there's lots of others, and so if you have great ones, leave your comments down below. I would love to see what works well for you. And if you enjoy this type of training, I have a passion for helping people treat diabetes, type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes as much as possible with healthy lifestyle. And starting in January, we have the 5-day Diabetes Love Your Food Challenge starting. You can find registration at learndiabetesmastery.com/challenge, or just check the post up above, and there should be a link there. Would love to have you sign up and join for that. This is all for today. Dr. Topher Fox signing off, wishing you a happy holiday season. Take care.